This lesson is over how to divide integers. So before we do that, let's practice on some questions over mixed integers before we delve into the topic of dividing integers. So 3, you're combining it with 17 negatives. I could draw 3 positive and 17 negatives. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. These represent 0 pairs, so I am left with 3, 6, 9, 12, negative 14. Or I could mentally in my head, do I have more positives or more negative? More negative by 14. Next one, I have 3 negatives. I combine it with 17 negatives. Will there be any 0 pairs here? No. So we have a total of 20 negatives, negative 20. Next one, 3 take away 17. I could model it. If I do model it, you start with 3 positive. How can I take away 17 positives from this without changing the value of 3? I need to draw 17 by 0 pairs, sets of 0 pairs. 5, 10, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I take away now the 17 positives. So I have 3 plus negative 17, which is negative 14. Again, the shortcut is called add the opposite. Keep the 3. If you turn a subtraction to it, adding, the opposite of 17 is negative 17. Next one, negative 3 take away negative 17. I could draw it. I start with 3 negatives. How do I take away 17 negatives from these 3 negatives without changing the value of negative 3? I have to draw 17 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 17 0 pairs. I take away the 17 negatives away. I'm left with negative 3 plus 17, or positive 14. Again, you could do something called add the opposite. Keep the negative 3, turn the subtraction to an adding. Opposite of negative 17 is 17, so negative 3 plus 17 is 14. Next one, number 5. What's 3 times 7? 21. This negative means the opposite, negative 21. What's 3 times 7? 21. Negative means the opposite, negative 21. Or 3 groups of negative 7 is negative 21. So negative 21 and negative 21. All right, so today we're going to be talking about dividing. Dividing does follow the same rule as multiplying integers. So let's start off very easy. You have 15 divided into 3 groups. So 15 positive. I need you to divide it into 3 groups. 15 divided by 3 and verbally can be represented mathematically as this 15 divided by 3 or as a as an improper fraction, 15 divided by 3. How would you write it like this way? Which number goes in here? 15, you're dividing it into 3 groups. So if we do it correctly, it should be 5. Let's see if this is correct. So let's keep dividing these. I think there was a positive somewhere hidden back here. And so, yeah, I feel like we're missing some. So it should be 5. The answer is 5. Next one, we have negative 12 divided into 4 groups. So let's divide this out. So I'm going to divide this into 4 groups. Negative 12 divided into 4 groups. And I see we have an answer of negative 3. How would I write it with this division bar? Negative 12 divided into 4 groups, negative 3. So that is how you do it with algebra, with real examples. So now let's get to using algebra tiles and number lines. So again, first one, 6 divided into two groups. 6 divided by two groups, and another way of representing it is 6 divided into two groups. So 6 is divided into two groups. So I have 6 positives. I need to divide them to two groups. So the value of the expression would be 3. How would I represent it on a number line? So here is from 0 to 6. How can I divide this into groups? Each group will have 3. So that is 6 divided into two groups of 3. Next one, I have negative 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I need to divide it into three groups. Negative 12 divided 3 groups, negative 12 divided 3 groups. So here's one group, two groups, three groups. That's negative 4. How would I represent this on a number line? Here from 0 to negative 12. Can I divide this into 3 equal groups? One group, two group. Each group is equally has negative 4. Number 3, negative 9 divided into 3 groups. Negative 9 divided by 3 groups. Negative 9 divided by 3 groups. Be negative 3. How can I show it with a number line? Here's negative 9, from 0 to negative 9, divided into 3 groups. Each group has 3 negatives. Number 4. Now let's get to where it gets a little harder now. So it says 12 divided by negative 3, 12 divided by negative 3, 12 divided by negative 3. So this is how you would represent it. You have 12. Start with 12 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They want you to divide it into 3 groups. One group, two groups, 3 groups. But this negative means the opposite of. So what is the opposite of this? Opposite of 4 positives, 4 negatives, 4 negatives, 4 negatives. So the value expression will be negative 4. Think of it as 12 divided by 3 is 4. What's the opposite of it? Negative 4. Let's try another example. You have 24 positives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. You're going to divide it into 6 groups. 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, 6 groups. This negative means you need to do the opposite. So what is the opposite of 4 positives? 4 negatives. So it's negative 4. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Negative means opposite. This negative right here is saying opposite. 24 divided by 6 is 4. Opposite of 4 is negative 4. Next one, number 6. You have 32 positive. All right, let's see if we could do this without pictures. I have 32. I want to divide it into 4 groups. So it'll be 8. Opposite, negative 8. So again, I start with 32 positive, dividing into 4 groups. That's 8. Opposite, negative 8. 32 divided by 4 is 8. Opposite, negative 8. Now, what about these examples? What if you have 2 negatives? For example, you have negative 6, and you need to divide it into 2 groups. But this negative right here says you need to do the opposite. And so that would be positive 3. 6 negative divided into 2 groups is negative 3. Opposite 3. However, if you do not want to do a drawing method, let's look at it this way. What's 6 divided by 2? 3. What's the opposite of a negative? Positive. So opposite of a negative is positive. And number 8, you have 15 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Divide it into 3 groups. So each group has 5 negatives. However, this negative right here says do the opposite So what's the opposite of 15 of negative 5? Positive 5, positive 5, positive 5. So it's 5. What if I want to do it without uh, a model? 15 divided by 3 is 5. Opposite of a negative is positive. Opposite of a negative is positive. Opposite of a negative is positive. So number 9, the Saints lost a total of 12 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. On 4 plays. The team lost the same number of yards on each play, right? How many yards did the Saints lose as an integer? So they lost, so we need to see how many they lost in each play. 1 play, 2 play, 3 play, 4 play. So they lost -3. How would I represent it with a number line? So they lost from 0 to -12 in 4 plays. We need to break it from 0 to -12 into 4 equal groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it is -3. So let's do a culmination of what we just learned. Which multiplication expression represents this model? How would you describe this model? I see two groups. I see two groups of -4. How would I write that as a multiplication? So 2 times -4. Can you represent this model as a division expression? Well, how many negatives do I have in all? I have 8 negatives. I divide it into how many groups? 2 groups. So -8 divided into 2 groups is -4. So does division follow the same rule as multiplication? It definitely does. If you have a positive times a positive, it equals positive. If you have a positive divided by a positive equals positive. What if you have a negative times a positive equals negative? A negative divided by a positive equals negative. And if you have a positive times a negative equals negative, and a positive divided by negative equals negative. And what if you have two negatives? Negative times negative. It actually equals positive. Why? Think of it as -4 times -2. 4 times 2 is 8. Negative, negative, opposite of negative is positive. And same thing with division. A negative divided by a negative equals a positive. So some people say if it has the same sign, positive, positive, negative, negative, it will be positive. If it's different sign, negative, positive, positive, negative, it will be negative. So in our last part, we're talking about more about division. If you have 6 tiles and ask you divide it into 0 groups, how would you do that? If 6 tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, divide it into 0 groups. Is that even possible? No. What if you have 0? If you know there's no tile, can you divide it into 5 groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. Each group will have 0. So it is possible. So when there is no answer, and you'll be learning something called undefined. Undefined means there are no, it can't be defined. There's no answer to it. Um, there's an Easter egg in Apple products. So you may have asked this question before. Let's do it again. Right. Let's do it again. What is 0 divided by 0?
Imagine that you have 0 cookies and you split them evenly among 0 friends. How many cookies does each person get? See, it doesn't make sense. And Cookie Monster has said that there are no cookies, and you are saying that you have no friends.
So Apple gives a hilarious way of explaining why you cannot divide by 0. This is optional, but we'll do this activity. So let's try to figure out where it goes. So let's place. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. That goes right there. 0 divided into 3 parts. 0 goes right there. 10 negatives. I divide it into 2 groups. 10 divided 2 is 5. Opposite is -5. 48 divided by 12 is 4. Opposite is negative 4. That goes right here. 18 divided into 0 groups. Not undefined, not possible. Negative 10 divided 0 groups. Undefined, not possible. 22 negatives dividing 11 group is negative. So it'll be 2 negatives in each group. So we go right here. 27 divided 9 is 3. Opposite of a negative is positive 3. It goes right here. And 20 divided by 4 is 5. Opposite of a negative is positive. So positive 5 go right there. And that is our sum. This is how to divide integers.